During the 2020 Game Awards, a suspiciously enthusiastic man introduced a game called It Takes Two, where the general premise is you venture around a variety of environments with your friend or partner as these human turned dolls, and you need to cooperate together in order to make it through. Just by looking at the trailer, back when I first saw it, I thought this could be amazing or hot garbage. It's clearly ambitious considering not many games rely on more than one person to try and beat a game, and it's made by a small and young studio. Sure, there are other multiplayer games where you're supposed to work together, but in the end, the player has the choice on how they want to play as an individual. It's why solo queuing makes people lose their mind, both the people who do it and people who have to play with them. There are also games where having other people enhances the gameplay, but in this game, it's not a suggestion or enhancement, it's a necessity. It's also very flashy. Obviously, you want to display some of the best moments in order to market the game well, but in doing so, it creates a sense of unease. Is it really like this? It seems too good to be true are the types of thoughts that run through my head as I watch these trailers. Only adding on to the feeling was the director, Joseph Fares, who just before the trailer not only called it a world exclusive, but extra world exclusive, my man. Not to say I didn't like the energy he gave off, but he was really trying to hype up a game I'd never heard of from a studio I've barely seen anything of. I had only heard of and seen minimal footage of A Way Out, and I know next to nothing about Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons, which he also directed. Time passed and it came out to critical acclaim by both users and critics to the point where they have nearly the same Metascore and it even won Game of the Year up against multiple different well-received games and much more experienced studios. Deathloop, which was made by Arcane Studio, who made Dishonored, Wolfenstein, and Prey. Psychonauts 2, a long-awaited and supposedly brilliant follow-up to a beloved classic. Resident Evil Village, developed by Capcom, and probably the most talked about game of the year, mostly due to Hot Tall Lady. Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, which is another beloved franchise, and Metroid Dread, which I think needs no explanation. I mention all of them because even if you think the overall catalog of games was lacking in 2021, which I can't really say I didn't play many games that came out in 2021, It Takes Two was still up against either a classic fan favorite franchise or a critically received game. This grabbed my interest, but at the same time almost lost it because I didn't think anyone would want to play it with me, but lo and behold, one of my friends actually came to me and asked if I would be willing to play it. I tried to go in with little to no expectations, which may have varied considering that whole Game of the Year build-up I just did, but I also wanted to mention it just in case it affected my experience. At the very least, by the time I had opened it up, I had forgotten most of what was in the trailer and I was set for a brand new experience. A blend of narrative and gameplay, never done before. It Takes Two.
Look at these dolls. Almost forgot they used to be humans.
Okay, I know that I just introduced it as a blend of narrative and gameplay, but the narrative part is pretty weak. Let me summarize it. Cody and May are getting divorced. They tell their daughter goes away and cries on her dolls. The parents wake up to find themselves in the bodies of the dolls, and now they go after their daughter to try and get back into their real bodies. First, they try to make her cry again on them, but that doesn't work. They find a note, but the note gets ripped apart by this book into 4 pieces. Each of the 4 pieces leads them to venture in a different area and learn a new way to restore their relationship. One for time, one for attraction, and one for passion and passion 2. They kiss, make up, and find Rose, who almost ran away, and go back home. I think it's supposed to be assumed that after that, they walk away and they stay together, but it's not said or confirmed. So let's start with the whole conflict. May is never at home because she always has to work overtime to make ends meet, but Cody wants May to spend more time at home with both him and Rose, and I have to stop it here. There are 2 obvious solutions to this. First of all, it is never mentioned that Cody has a job at all. I tried to find something that would lead me towards what exactly he does, but I honestly have no clue. He's probably a stay-at-home dad, but otherwise there isn't any hint towards it in the game. It's possible that he gave up his job to be a gardener since it's mentioned that he wanted to move to the house to have a garden. This leads me to my next point though, which is this is a really nice house. It's a big house, has a nice view, and they're only a family of 3. Why don't they just sell this house, especially since part of the original reason they arrived here is now gone, or at least it was until you completed the garden area. After that, who knows? Again, it's not said, just implied. Maybe there wasn't time to talk out these solutions, but I don't know. Cody and May themselves aren't that great. They're very abrasive towards each other, which should be fairly expected of people going through a divorce, but sometimes they're just mean. Half the game is trying to make not just a child, but their own child cry by breaking her toy. They don't even apologize for it, and they seem more obsessed with themselves more than anything else, and maybe I'm taking the story too seriously. Most of it is very cheesy and not that hard to figure out. I doubt most people playing this game are playing it for the story to the point that I almost feel uncomfortable criticizing it. Almost. Why almost? Well, A, false
Never done
advertising, and
before.
B, there are a few key moments where the game really feels like it wants you to take it seriously. There are some heart-to-hearts between the main duo, and they get progressively less hostile during the second half of the game. There's even a slow walk at the end of the game with both your characters to help Mei sing Whatever This Is and a big kiss. It's just that these cheesy and silly moments made it a bit hard to get invested when I believe you were intended to be. I mentioned them trying to make their daughter cry, but let's rewind a bit to when the duo thought they had realized what they had to do and my reaction to it.
What?
The elephant. Rose loves her elephant. Best friend.
I like that.
It was delivered in such a thoughtful manner when I first heard it. It was like a eureka moment. I didn't think it was a joke, but now I do. If it's not, then the writers at Hazelight are fucked up, but assuming it is, that's okay as long as it's for the sake of comedy and you're trying not to make them likable without redeeming them first, which is pretty much what they did. There's also another scene where you tell your daughter's toy elephant that you're going to kill her. The elephant desperately tries to get away but fails and starts scampering in this claw machine. You have to grab the elephant yourself, rip off its leg and ear to drag it over a cliff, all the while it's pleading to play jump rope in a high-pitched, non-threatening voice. This scene is probably the most evil I felt in a while, and while I found it both interesting and funny considering it's such a jarring contrast to the rest of the game, it makes the main characters also feel evil, especially since afterwards they bathe in the tears of their child and are disappointed when it doesn't work. Just think about that for a second. The parents that joyously bathed in the tears of their daughter after they had ripped her elephant that was desperately pleading for its life limb from limb are now disappointed since they did not turn back into their true form. This is obviously dramatized, but it still captures the essence of what they had done. And again, it's fine if they wanted to go this route of comically villainous. In fact, I probably would have preferred it judging by my first reaction, but trying to have that as the first half followed by an endearing second half without any attempt at redemption makes it really hard to care about the second half. I would much rather have had the game just make the characters stay together for a ridiculous reason like they hate Dr. Hakim or something and want to get back at him somehow, or better yet, they still get a divorce. Speaking of Dr. Hakim, he has the exact same energy as the teacher who got fired for selling drugs. I didn't find him particularly funny, but he wasn't atrociously cringe like I thought he would be, so I'm sure some people found him relatively enjoyable, which is fine. Honestly, I know I said that it was assumed that they stayed together, but with how the game played out, it felt like they were still going to end up getting divorced just on better terms. The second half of the game helped them spark that old love they had for each other, but there was nothing to help them maintain it, so it kind of seemed like they realized they had some good times, but ultimately they were still in a relationship that wasn't working. Again, I'm probably taking this too seriously, and if these serious moments weren't supposed to invest you, then pretty much everything I said about the story is null, but if they were going for that rom-com type vibe, I think that they just need to make sure the comedic moments don't destroy the serious ones, or the whole game should have just been a comedy.
Feel it? Huh? Tell me you feel it. Come on. Tell me you feel it, huh? Huh? Huh?
I feel stuck.
The first thing that both me and my friend noticed as we entered the first area was, is it only split screen? For reference, we played online not together, so we had thought there would be an option for full screen, but looking at the options, there wasn't. The most surprising part of it, though, was that it wasn't nearly as hindering as I thought it would have been. In fact, there was even a case where having the full screen made the gameplay worse. In this case, if a player died, they would respawn in front of the other player and bring the camera with them, which would cause the player that didn't respawn to fall behind and die because the camera would always focus on the leading player for some reason. Limiting the FOV of a player is quite the bold move. In most games, it takes the player's perspective and just compresses it, which really clutters the screen. The game actually pulls back the camera a bit when you gain control of your character and smoothly transitions you into the scenery instead of just taking your screen and halving it, which just narrows perspective. It seems like most of what I could have seen full screen I could see in my split screen phase, which is great. There were even moments where I was glad to have it so I could see some of the scenery that my friend was exploring. This shot in particular stands out to me and was the first moment I thought about it. I'm not entirely sure why, but I just love being able to see the full lighting from the window and the shadows behind the cushiony object. It's very relaxing. With all that said, I do still think there should have been a full screen option just to see what the environment could have looked like if it were all on my screen. Maybe there could have been a before your eyes type option where you're supposed to play it with a camera and it would probably enhance your experience if you did so, but you can choose the option to play without it if you so wish. I only mention it because exploring the different environments was one of the best aspects of this game. Well, actually, exploring might be a bit of a strong word. The progression of this game is linear, very, very linear. There isn't much room or reward for exploration, save for some achievements and Easter eggs. And I wouldn't even consider these out-of-the-way tasks. Most of the game is in front of you, which is fine. There were still interactable minigames and activities that acted as an option to take you away from the main objective if you so desired. If some of the puzzles or platforming got dull, they were fun activities to have in the game which were really appreciated. I'll talk about some of them later, but the general idea is that all of them were pointless to the main progression, yet they still fit within the setting and made the game more enjoyable by just being there. After getting over the split screen, you look around to see the surroundings of the tool shed, introducing you to different aspects of movement. The jump, double jump, dash, sprint, ground pound, wall jump, wall stick, and a slide, although I don't think the slide is ever used for any purpose. It's a fairly standard platformer moveset, but it feels surprisingly good. Having a double jump right off the bat is really fun, although it feels a little weird that they just give it to you. For a game that's so creative with what it does, you'd think that maybe there would have to be some item you pick up like rocket boots or something, but if it's this or getting the double jump halfway through, then I'd much rather prefer this. It's more of a nitpick than anything. It allows for corrections in the original jump, more challenging platforming, and overall better movement without having to wait for anything. The dash is a little odd. It feels like the dash in the air gives you less coverage than the dash on the ground, but it's really hard to tell since it's possible that sprinting gives you extra momentum before and after the dash. On ground, it felt much more like a boost, a Mario Kart panel, but in the air, it felt much more like a regular dash, just going from point A to point B in a quick manner. That comparison isn't exactly right though, because it was still technically a boost. You go from a high speed to low speed instead of just keeping a constant velocity throughout. My guess is that in comparison to the ground, it just feels like you get much less momentum, but I couldn't say for sure. I only bring it up because there were moments where I would mix up the two. In this jukebox, I dash on the ground to give me momentum, double jump, and then dash again, but the dash doesn't reach. You could chalk this up to me being shit at video games, and that's a fairly valid argument, but I had to mention it because I probably did it more, and even in this section, I almost did it twice. Maybe changing up how it felt was supposed to help the player so you wouldn't go flying uncontrollably in the air or so you don't feel sluggish on the ground, but having two different results for what is seemingly the same action just got a little confusing. Overall though, the movement system gives the player nearly complete control to flail about in a fast and smooth manner that is really fun. You can even see me flailing about here while my friend is setting up his stuff. I really liked it in general. It's just up to the game to utilize it properly, which I'll talk about later. Anyways, now May and Cody are in a vacuum. It's where you find your first puzzle? I'm not sure if I could call them that though. Let's look at Portal 1. The first room after you get out of the bedroom is a simple area where you have a button and a box, and when the button is pressed, the door opens. I think that it's apparent to most people who play games, or even most people in general, that you're supposed to take the box and place it on the button so that the door will stay open to grant you access to the elevator. Given that, there's still the possibility that someone thought if you just pressed the button, the door would stay open, and once they realized that it didn't, then they would have to try to use the box on the button. If it's the former scenario, then no it's not, but if it's the latter, then it technically is. There was a trial and error process applied to the situation, and it was something that the player had to figure out. In the former scenario, it didn't test any thought process or thinking, it was an intuitive task that the player had recognized immediately. This is what 90% of the puzzles in It Takes Two feels like. Even if a player doesn't get it immediately, they will usually get it pretty quickly. Understanding a puzzle immediately after you see it isn't hard though. Get sucked into the vacuum while the other person aims it. Place the nails on a board to hold it up. Place goo on something to weigh it down. There were slightly more complex puzzles, but not enough, and they seemed like puzzles that should come after you teach the player how to use the new equipment, not the last puzzle in the area. The portal box puzzle idea is only further hammered in when you consider you're not the only person playing the game. If you don't get it immediately, there's a good chance that your partner will. I think the longest the puzzle took in the game to figure out was about 2 minutes, and 20 seconds of it were spent not thinking about it because we believed that there'd be some switch or button that would allow the person to get up. That's another problem. There were some puzzles that required you to get just one person up to a certain point so that they could flip a switch or press a button to release a pathway to where that person is. This means that you might believe you finished something when in reality you need the other person to get up first. It's generally forgivable because you could typically restart pretty easily. But there were definitely some puzzles where we realized after a person had reached a certain point that the other person needed to get up first, which is a little annoying. The platforming is similarly simple. I don't think that much stood out to me besides one boss and the club. They were probably my favorite boss and area in terms of platforming. The boss is a toolbox. First it rains nails, which isn't that bad, and then he cuts some holes in the wood, which is harder but still not terrible, but then it's raining nails while a blade whirls around and you try not to fall into a hole, and now you're hopping around hoping not to botch the landing. It was hectic and what I wish more of the game had done with its movement. The closest it had come was the chess battle, but we killed it before it could really develop into something like the toolbox fight, and there wasn't any platforming in that one since your jump was taken away. The club had probably the best platforming aspects of the game, but there weren't enough to say that it was amazing. You start off in a Rainbow Road-like area, which isn't as hard as the actual Rainbow Road, but still fast-paced and engaging enough to be fun. Then it switches to a platforming section. There's a moving wall jump and then some moving platforms, and finally there's a grapple onto a moving platform into a wall you have to blast with a scream. The last one in particular is interesting because I believe you were supposed to time your jump with your partner so you could both get in at the same time, mixed in with the moving platforms and quick time span to get past the musical lock or whatever, which is a really good idea to test your platforming skills and cooperation, but ultimately that is not what we ended up doing.
What the fuck?
Even after that, there's a rolling disco ball with little spots of danger. I literally have no idea what they are. It constantly shifts in direction and speeds up for a neat challenge. And finally, the last section has you going through a tunnel at top speed trying to dodge some lasers and hitting boosts. It's a nice challenge, but it's also the last one because it's the last area of the game. There wasn't anywhere where the platforming was bad, but with how much fun I had moving around, it's a little disappointing that much more wasn't done with it. I wish a place like the club showed up earlier and it got harder from there, or that level of platforming stayed constant throughout. It would have been more hectic and fun, but still not hard enough to the point where it's frustrating.
Míralo. Oh, look at them. So beautiful. Oh, love.
Why is he Spanish?
So if I didn't like the story, the puzzles, or the platforming, do I think this game is bad? No. Do I think it's okay? No. I would actually say that this game is good, maybe even pretty good, just not great, which might take some real explanation considering I spent at least 5.5 pages complaining about this game. Let's start with the story. I obviously don't think it's that good, but it's weirdly charming and it fits with the overall theme of the game. Most of it is jokes along with a very in-your-face delivery that typically moves along pretty quickly. I'm sure some people will enjoy this, and I didn't particularly hate it somehow. The very few heart-to-heart moments were odd, but they didn't drag down the game as a whole. They were more of a nuisance than anything. The whole idea of the game, and I'll get more into it, is that things just happen and you gotta go with it, which is pretty much just how the whole story felt. May and Cody were just being dragged along by Dr. Hakim to do stupid shit, and they didn't really have a choice but to go with it. It's quite possible the sudden shift from being terrible people to somewhat endearing was supposed to mimic this idea that things happen. I may not agree with it, but I do think I understand the point of it in this game, and it didn't make my experience that much worse. I still think they could have apologized for the elephant thing, just like a little dialogue at the end. Sorry we ripped apart your elephant. What? Don't worry about it. I think something like that would have worked well. Next are the puzzles, which is a little misleading. I don't think puzzles are the best way to describe them. I think they're more like tests. Sorry, tests of collaboration or collaboration tests just sounded off. They're meant to test your ability to work with your partner, and I think in that sense it did pretty well. There is a reason I called them puzzles though, and that's because there are varying levels to how collaborative these collaborative tasks are. Some feel like tasks that you need 2 controllers, and others feel like you have to be in sync or very communicative with your partner. Look at this mirror puzzle in the kaleidoscope. It is necessary that 2 people do it to complete it, but if I had 2 controllers, I could 100% pull a Sakurai to solve it. Similarly, one person would glue a platform to weigh it down, then the other person would light it. One person aims a vacuum while the other is sucked into it. One person hammers a platform, then the other nails it. It's these types of tasks that I refer to as puzzles, and to be frank, I still don't like these. I think they could really be improved because the game already has much more of what I liked and wanted. Activities that allow you and your friend to work actively together. I'll start with the simplest one. One objective is to add up numbers to the set number given. You don't know what number your partner will pick, so you are forced to either look at what number they have and pick the number that adds up to it, but there's still the possibility that your partner will do the same and think the number you're standing on is the number you're set on, so it's much better to communicate out loud which numbers should take priority. This isn't hard, and I could probably still pull a Sakurai, but that's okay because this is one of the easier examples. I'm going to skip over this memory one. I don't know why they did it the way they did. You could literally do it with one person, which doesn't make any sense. All they had to do was add a barrier to force certain cards on certain people, but I don't know. The one after it is a great example of what I think the game should have really gone for, connecting the dots. In this scenario, one person controlled the verticality of the pencil and the other the horizontal portion. It's such a simple task, but just look at how the drawing turned out. If you want to do this with the best results, you have to stop at each dot, make sure both you and your partner know where the next one is, and move in the general direction at the same time. Part of the reason this turned out so rough was just because one of us would see the dot before the other and start heading towards it with hopes that the other would catch on. Obviously the game was very generous with what it accepted, but it's a great example of what I think the game should have really strived for. Interactions between players at the same time, not interactions one player at a time. The cheese glass balance thing, I can't for the life of me remember what these are called, is another good example of having to interact actively. If one person stays on one side for too long, it could cause the ball to end up in a position to fall down, so you have to coordinate with your partner where you should be going. My favorite example, though, has to be this grind rail section. One person stays back on a pad that has different animals while the other grinds away. The person back on the pads has to press the animal that's immediately in front of the person on the grind rail to lift the object in front of them. You either have to listen to your partner for the animal in front of them, or you can look over on their screen to see what it is they're looking at. You have to interact with them or their screen, and they still have to switch rails because some of the animals are red herrings that aren't on the pad you're on, they're on the one after it so the other person can get through. I was even so used to the original 4 animals that I confused my partner when I thought I was supposed to go through an animal he didn't have. Cow or frog? Frog. Okay.
Oh.
My miscommunication almost caused us to restart the whole thing, and it probably should have if I didn't quickly correct myself. If you communicated properly, you got through. If you didn't, you failed, or should have in my case. I said the game should have gone for this a bit more only because I'm unsure how much of the game were puzzles, collaborative tasks, and some mix of the two. It all felt about equal, but if I looked into it more, it's possible I could come to a different conclusion. Unfortunately, I still think the platforming could have been a bit more of a challenge, although I'm a bit worried that's a problem with me rather than the game. There are a few examples where I think the platforming was suitable, but just not challenging enough. I was even hesitant to use the club example earlier because it really wasn't that hard, but the disco ball and surfing section took some life off of me, and the Rainbow Road section hit my partner hard along with the music lock portion. I really wanted to do more with the movement in the game, but this game was clearly intended to be a much more casual game, and making it more challenging may have ruined that intention. Obviously it would have enhanced my experience, but if they were going for the idea that anyone could pick it up, play it, and have fun, less of a challenge might have been the best route to go about it. Remember, that section was only to reconcile some of the grievances I had previously mentioned. It didn't even have anything to do with the best part of the game. Let me bring it back to the puzzles. I didn't like them. I thought they were too easy, yet somehow I was never bored of them. Why? Because the game never allowed enough time for me to get bored of them. Let me go through one area, the snow globe. You start by obtaining magnets to pull some doors and bridges and then cut down a tree. One of you is then catapulted onto a platform in front of you, go through a few more puzzles, and then you're forced to ring a bell and save these inhabitants that look like a mix between Pikmin and Piantas from Sunshine that also sound like they're from Hollow Knight. You enter a town with 3 more bells, and each bell can unlock different aspects of the area. My partner and I slid along lights and houses to play minigames such as icicle throwing, shuffleboarding, and straight up snowball fights. Side note, I would stay until the end of the video to watch some of the best snowball fights you've ever seen. Once all the bells are rung, you're carried along a ski lift type thing to go bobsledding. You can also grab a new hat right before it too. Now you're underwater where you have to fix and place some nuts to tighten a screw while avoiding an anglerfish. You're then sucked into a tunnel trying to avoid fans. Once you get out, there are pillars of water to get you to leap from place to place. Finally, there's a button you can push to activate all 3 generators, but not after you've done an ice race with your friend. Once you've gotten them all, you're out of the underwater portion. There's a tower to climb, and you both ride an actual ski lift to the top of the mountain. Just to ski back down, pulling yourself magnetically along the way. A frozen polar bear helps you up as you climb your way to another skating portion, grinding along ice, tusks, ramps, and the like just to reach a cabin where a book tells you that you have a relationship. Everything starts crumbling and collapsing. It's a race to get out, and once out, you discover another ability, the ability to connect the magnet. That ability is used to go against a snowstorm and arrive at a tower. Once there, the magnet welds together and fits itself into a key to lift you and your partner to the top, and all of this comes to wrap as you see a familiar face gazing at you. This fucking book. Okay, that was a lot. Approximately how long do you, the viewer, think that it took to get through this? If your guess is anywhere over 2 hours, you're 100% wrong. It actually took us an hour and a half, and keep in mind we weren't speedrunning it or anything. In fact, while looking at another person's gameplay, it looked like it took them around an hour and 20 minutes, maybe an hour and a half if there's some editing mixed in, so our time seems fairly normal. On top of that, to say that I described everything that happened in its entirety would be doing an injustice to the game. I didn't even mention that at one point you're inside a shark. And as my last point to hammer in just how this game was constantly moving and constantly giving you new ideas and toys to play with, I think the snow globe might be one of the weaker areas in terms of how the game keeps moving, with the exceptions of the vacuum and toolbox, but they're the first areas and about half the time to get through, so they're more than forgivable. It is astounding to me just how often they were able to change scenarios and keep everything feeling different. In one area, I was fighting a squirrel like it was Street Fighter. In another, I was riding a toy dinosaur being aided by another much larger one. In another, I was running around on a spider traversing the trees. In another, I was go on for the length of the game with how diverse the range of encounters there are to venture through. And the best part is, even when there are breaks, there are still things to keep you occupied. From parts of the environment trying to kill you to a photo booth, from launching a car through a hoop to a machine specifically designed to kill you, from a shark in a kiddie pool to an entire spa to do nothing but receive various types of massages. If you like the story, there's even a little note from Cody that May can open up that's actually legible. There is no point to these. There is no reward to be given or challenge to be accepted, but that's because the game will always give you everything you need to get through a level. However, it's because they're unnecessary and not in your face that you start to see how much love the team had for this game when making it. Let's take this near Automata robot looking Roblox character as an example. He is stuck in superglue. If you pull him out, he's still stuck in superglue. If you pull him out, he's stuck in another spot of superglue. He's eternally trapped within a never-ending spiral with seemingly no escape. You don't have to do this. You can go straight ahead, but it was little touches like these that made me not want to go ahead and see what else was around in the area, like the train or cannon darts. Above all were the minigames you could play with your friend. Challenges that, again, are pointless but add so much to the game that it makes you want to find all of them. You want to test yourself against them to see who's better at what. Some of them were even so incredible that I even learned what it felt like to be XQC in a chess match. Anyways, they were quite possibly the best part of the game and what I loved most about it overall. If being able to incorporate these minigames into the game itself would be possible, I'd highly encourage it because not only were they fun, but also challenging and diverse enough to almost never get bored with them for an extended period of time. Maybe not all of them to keep some of the charm of them being there for the sake of them being there, but it would definitely make the game more fun, which I think was the ultimate purpose of the game. I should probably mention before concluding that many people, including me, will take this game as a casual, fun-for-all type of game, so my initial criticisms might seem a bit harsh. However, this doesn't mean that it couldn't have benefited from something slightly more engaging than what felt like doing these effortless tasks. I'm not saying that it needed Baba Is You or Steven's sausage roll type puzzles, but something more than pulling magnets or pulling on a plant to hit it. It also could have gone the other direction and instead of doing puzzles, make it completely centralized on the minigames and activities with your friend. More ideas like the pencil tracing, the cheese thing, or especially the grind rail section with the animals. What it most definitely could have benefited from were just a bit more challenging platforming scenarios. Dying is of little consequence in this game. You either restart extremely close to where you died almost immediately after you die, or you have to spam a button for a few seconds which then respawns you in a similar sequence. What makes games like Jump King so frustrating for most people is not just how easy it is to die from making a mistake, but the tedious climb back you have to endure just to get back to where you were originally and hope that this time you won't have another climb of shame that's even further than the last. This problem is solved because there's not even a set checkpoint at each room. There are points within the room where you respawn. I believe that at one point one of us had died and respawned in front of the point that we were already at because they died so close to the point. The platforming in general, though, is probably the hardest one to criticize for me, though, because I look at some of the platforming and think, yeah, this was alright, but it felt like it could have had more. But I really don't know what that more could have been. There's this one section of the clock area where you can climb up a tower of boards to light some fireworks. The tower itself is relatively challenging, but also fun. It might be too hard for the purpose of the game, though, and that's why it was only side content, only something to do, only if you wanted to do it. Maybe this could be a solution, keep the not as difficult content for the main progression but have more challenges like this one for the side content. Although the minigames and other quirks might be lost in the process, so for what it's worth I think Hazelight really did their best with it. It's still a shame though because it was really fun to move around and it still feels like there could have been more done with it. It Takes Two is a game just beaming with potential for a bit more and I sincerely hope that it builds on what it has. There's clearly a loving team and interesting director behind it to make such a fast-paced and ever-evolving game that throws everything it has at you, even if what it has can sometimes be less than substantial. Hiding from these big moles in the grass that your friend controls is a really cool idea for about 5 minutes, but it barely lasted for 5 minutes because then you're barreled into a chase scene from the moles, which is cool, and then you get to ride these taxi frogs, and yeah. I really hope I didn't come off as too negative in the beginning when I was describing some of the problems I had with it. I have an innate ability to describe in better detail negatives about something than the positives. But I genuinely enjoyed much of my time spent with this game, and the fact that my praises were about as long as the criticism speaks to the level of quality of this game. Instead of doing a lot with a little, it does a little with a lot, and I would love to keep it that way to maintain the best aspect of this game. However, maybe that direction can leave just a bit to be desired because sometimes that little just wasn't enough. It Takes Two is a pretty good game. I just can't seem to let go of the idea that it has even more potential hidden within it because I feel like I can see it. The prospect of quite possibly one of my favorite games on the horizon, but only time will tell if that's what Hazelight will develop. I'm gonna put a little compilation of funny dumb moments mostly for my friend, but it may actually serve as some proof to anyone else who watches this that I really did have fun with the game. Anyways, here it is.
We did that
Oh, and
in
I-
sync too. I fucking got the corner of it. God damn it. We really are in sync.
wait. I have to play right into this.
Did you just like
die.
stand there? Oh, what the fuck? I just got fucking manhandled.
The heck? What was the?
Wait, okay, wait. You ground pound it and then I'll do it. What?
Oh, we just both die.
No prize.
Nothing to it.
No way.
Come on.
Yes.
Oh, let's go!
The spell was cast through her tears. Then, in order to break it,
We just remove her eyes.
Drive this thing around. Yeah, get out of here. Oh crap.
Oh, I can release
Oh, it's like
it.
one of those.
Oh,
It's like one of these wind up.
get fucking obliterated, nerd.
You just blew me up. What the hell?
And then...
Yo.
Wait, can we not do it at the same time? To like create a curve?
We can. We can. You just have to tell me when you're going up.
Okay.
I thought we were doing like more of a blocky one.
Are we
It's like
doing
now
the
go
blocky
left.
finish?
Yeah, so like go to the right. And I'll
Okay.
go down. And I'll go down. Oh god, these things are Jesus. It's quite. Here, we gotta do the shaft. So go to the
Yeah, we
left.
gotta
Go to
get
the
the...
left.
No, wait, we gotta get the tip. To the
Yeah.
left.
It's just cancer. This dude definitely. Oh wait, we gotta like do the little like insertation in the middle.
Oh, wait, you gotta go up for that, don't you? Or...
Yeah, here, go back around. So go up. Here, I'll go up now.
Is
I go to the left.
Alright.
Go. All right. Here we go. Beautiful. Can we take a picture of this?
Oh my god, that was fucking brilliant.
All right, you go first. You go first.
Okay, hang on.
Back
Oh,
to
wait,
you.
wait. Okay. This one's safe. No, this one's safe.
I'm gonna say. Oh.
Alright, going molars. Let's go.
Oh.
Oh, God.
And there's a 33.3% chance I picked the wrong one.
You gotta be kidding me. What?
You have a chance to send me home.
Yeah, I really do. It's either guaranteed or I. Okay.
Analyze the options.
Actually. Okay. Alright. I think this one. Wait, hold on. I think this one is not safe. God damn it!
Originally were. Over there.
Oh. I just fell through the head! What the hell? I wanna make sure.
No. You know,
I
he's
just fell through the head. What the hell?
a picture of it saved from yesterday. Okay, why is it like jagged? Jeez.
Again, the best penis we've ever seen.
Like violence.
The leg just rips apart. Oh, actually.
Jeez. Screwed.
I was kind of expecting some like Happy Tree Friends type shit where like blood and guts just start going everywhere.
The edge of the
More
One more time.
time. I missed the first one.
That's not my problem. Just get good.
There's this fucking
That's
lamp
true.
in front of me.
Dude,
give
you're
a
just
shit.
fucking making excuses, man. Like, come on.
No, it's true. It's true. I am better than him.
Fucking trash.
What the fuck?
Oh my god, and you're on the rail. Like, what the fuck are you doing, man? He's so lost, Michael. He's so lost.
That's right.
easy.
No, wrong fucking way. What the fuck? What the fuck are you doing? I'm,
The
going
show.
I'm literally going the wrong way.
Oh.
Like, that's actually.
Oh, what the fuck did I say? What the fuck did I say?
It literally wouldn't let me go the right way.
What did I
Show.
say?
I beat
What
you
did I
any other
say?
Oh my gosh, you got
well,
owned.
I mean, if you don't want to do it again, that's fine. That's fine.
No, okay. 'Cause I think we know him better. All right.
No, I mean, no, it's fine. No, it's fine. I'm not.
No,
I'm
it's
not
It's
saying
fun,
that.
right? No earnings, no PRs. Like, get good.
No, it's fine. Like, I get it. I get it. I get it.
This is definitely something that would like piss me the fuck.
That was something that pissed me the fuck off.
It was timed perfectly, dude.
How like big can he get? Cause he was inside that globe, and now he's outside of it. So like,
Yeah, like power. Can we power scale this book? Like, can this book be Goku?
What is wrong with you?
What?
fucking destroyed. Oh my goodness.
Oh, it's because there's like
Gotcha.
there's little aimbot. You need aimbot. You have aimbot, bro. Oh my god. Let me up here. Oh, it's just no. You have literal aimbot. Yeah. So you gotta go fast. You gotta go
Hold on
fast.
to this just a little bit.
Faster. Faster. Oh, you're actually a scumbag.
Okay, that's it. That's it. I don't have any.
This is where battles are settled.
Wars end.
Hey, come here.
Oh jeez. Okay.
I declare war.
And I will defeat you, snow villain.
Oh, are we gonna throw them at each other?
All the others.
Oh, it's this shit.
What?
Oh!
This is like literal aimbot. Well, and how is he not hitting you? I feel like I'm being cheated on. No
Oh, that was
way.
so close.
Dude, this is actually cheap.
Bring it on.
Oh my god, what? You're like a fucking stupid ass bullshit curve on your fucking snowballs. Oh my god, stop hiding.
I think it's a fucking circle. Oh, I got it. Stood solid.
Stop being so aggro.
Oh, smash.
No way!
Dude,
Ah,
the
we're
way
doing
that
it.
snowball curved was incredible. Oh my god.
do it again.
I wish you could have seen that on my screen. That was fucking
I mean, technically I
amazing.
could see it on your screen.
Did you? Oh my god.
I did. I was like watching it. I was like, okay, there's no way.
It's so good.
I'm bullshit aimbot.
That's it.
Starting. What? It literally hit the.
Oh,
I got
that's bad.
Yeah. crap, I'm out of snowballs. Get the fuck back here. No way. This is literally a scam. Where are you?
That's what I was wondering
Dude.
for a second.
Are you sure you didn't cheat?
This is stupid.
No, I
There's-
can't believe this. This is so good.
I gotta-
this
I'm
is
beating you
the
once.
best minigame.
So stupid. You're like, you just
This'll be a
die. You,
piece of cake.
I'm just better. I don't know what you're so mad about.
like, what? There's no. Finally.
Yeah.
What? Can I? Okay.
Okay, we got each other at least. That's true.
Stop hiding. What?
Oh, that was really close.
This is literally, I'm literally being scammed right now.
I am.
Bullshit.
I'm so good.
I'm done.
I
I'm done
am
with this.
so
That's bull.
good.
Remember when I first bought Monster Hunter World? I loaded it up and I thought it was some like weird anime game.
Look at my
But then I
I feel
actually,
like that
I then,
is right.
This is amazing.
but then I actually kind of ended up liking it.
You were right, Michael. This wasn't anime. It's actually hentai.
No.
What? It takes two? Or
That's right. We were talking about Monster Hunter when we said that.
say,
I'm
we
so
talking about It
tired.
Takes Two or Monster Hunter?
You remember
I
me?
was like, I don't know if this game is hentai, but
Oh,
fucked.
God. Fucking tomato. What
Really
happens
dark
if,
in
like...
here, eh? I can't
Fucking
see.
guy. You know, I'm just like, like the. Okay, can we like keep the light on me or something? Like, holy shit, dude, keep the light on me. Alright, keep going. I'm just gonna. Okay, keep going, and I'll follow you. All right, I'm just gonna follow you. All right. Or you follow me. How about that?
Good luck.
Lights on me.
Follow me.
I know. Dude, chill, 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 chill.
Alright, fun.
Oh my god. Yeah, keep it with me.
Okay. Okay,
hey,
sorry. That
You
was
sure you
slow.
got this?
Oh, I can move the others forward too. Okay.
All right. I trust you.
Alright.
Oh, so
I
I
don't
have to... Do I have to do the other one?
Yeah, use the red one maybe. Alright, come on, Ethan, keep up. Come on, what's the hold up?
Yeah, what's the holdup, fucker?
Okay, no, what? I have no chance. That's just unfair. Dude, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. I'm gonna die, Ethan, I'm gonna die. Alright, yeah, now what's the hold up? Oh my god. Just fucking speedrunning this entire. Alright, I'm gonna win. Oh, dude, what the hell?
Oh my god.
Okay, I thought they got me again.
I see a light switch.
Oh, it's
I
just
was the
chairs.
best at this.
Wait, how do we do that? Wait.
knocked out first.
Oh, I didn't read the instructions.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how the fuck do we get down?
Come on.
Okay.
What button did you press?
But I don't know how to press any buttons.
No, do you know how musical chairs works?
Yes, the music stops. You get on the chair.
Yeah, the
Like,
music
you were
didn't
like,
stop.
But you were like, stop it. I saw you like slow down. I did press W, but easy dubs. Musical chairs champion right here. Okay, what's this button?
What the
Oh, wait, I
fuck
didn't even
you
realize it.
doing? What did
Oh,
you-
wait, what? Wait, me?
Were you moving around?
Yeah, I'm not in the game. I'm not in game. I'm not in the game right now. Wait, what? Whee! Nope. I win.
God.
I win.
That's-
Yeah, we're not. We're not. I'm not playing with you. Oh, I'm not playing with you right
Oh,
now.
God, that's so
I like.
funny. Oh,
Hey,
I'm home
No,
at the
my God.
beginning.
do I need you? Let me see if I actually need you.
Yeah,
Maybe I can just-
that's true. Maybe you can just power through it.
Okay, one more.
Oh no!
Really? Really? Dude, what the fuck?
Okay, so I have mouse and crouch right next to each other, so I accidentally pressed dash.
Well, I literally dashed into it. That's bullshit. I literally fucking dashed into it. This game's bullshit. Oh my god.
Oh
I
fuck!
fucking.
Oh! Save! Oh, I definitely fucked that one up. No, goddamn it.
Sort of fucking Jesus. No fucking. Okay. I swear to
I wish you
Jesus.
I wish you could double
Oh,
jump.
this-
That'd be nice.
You can.
Yeah, you can. Can you?
Yeah, you can.
Nice kill.
No fucking way. Swear
Let's go! Let's go! One more time?
So stupid. No, fuck this is stupid as bullshit game.
One more time? One more
So
time?
stupid. Get the fuck out of here. Get up here. Shut up. That's so stupid.